Hello, my name is Dylan. I'm going to be doing a overview and presentation on Terrific Toddlers, a guide to growth, development, and overall health. So tune in, parents, because today what I'm going to be doing is giving you guys a little guide to some milestones for your toddler. We're going to be going over some vaccinations, and we're also going to be going over some important things to know for your toddler's health and nutrition. So sit tight. So, welcome. Once again, we're just be going over the growth and development milestones. What to expect when your toddler learns new skills physically, socially, and emotionally. So we're going to look at those important vaccinations to protect your toddlers from these serious illnesses and why staying on schedule matters. In addition, we also want to touch up a bit on why the vaccinations are necessary, and we're going to go over health promotion and what that means for your child. So let's start with physical growth. Between the ages 1 and 3, as you can see on the slide, the toddlers are going to gain about 4 to 6 pounds per year. And about annually, they will also grow 3 inches. Uh, by age 2 to 3, their head and chest size becomes about equal, and then the soft spot on top of their head, which is called their anterior fontanelle, that will close by around 18 months. So if you feel around on your toddler's head, it's going to feel like a triangle, and it's a soft spot. So around 18 months is when you'll no longer feel that. Um, so you may notice that your toddler's body is changing quickly, but just know that this is a time of steady and healthy growth. Okay, so on this side, we'll be going over the cognitive development. So basically, what's going on in your toddler's head. Okay, so one thing is during this time, they learn through trial and error, imitation and repetition. So one thing that you'll see is often that is domestic mimicry, which is they pretend to clean or they try to cook or they take care of their dolls. So that's one thing that you're going to be seeing in your toddler. Um, around age 2, usually your toddler will have a vocab about 50 words. So if you feel like you're seeing that your toddler's not speaking much, that's one thing that we want to look out for. And so earlier prevention is always better. So it's always important to be on the lookout for things like that. So noticing how much your toddler is speaking, what type of words they're saying is going to go a long way for catching these problems early. Um, and then lastly, it's a wonderful stage to encourage and language by reading and labeling objects. So make sure that you talk often with your child. This way, they're able to develop their language a little bit better. Okay, so on this slide, we're going to be going over growth and development and basically the social and emotional aspects of what you might expect in your toddler. So one thing is toddlers during this time are learning independence. So you're going to hear them say, I want to do it a lot, or not I want to do it, but it might say me do it a lot because they're trying to be autonomous and they want to be independent. In addition, you're going to see that tantrums are normal. So they're going to test the boundaries and they're going to try to express their emotions. You have to ensure that you're keeping consistent routines. So, offering simple choices like, hey, do you want the red cup or the blue cup? You also letting your toddler sometimes choose what type of shirt they want to wear also helps to build autonomy. So, separation anxiety is something that can appear around 8 to 9 months. So, that's any time that you may leave the room or the toddler is with any strangers, they will seem to be a little afraid or scared. They cry. So, you will see that appear around 8 to 9 months. And then it also will disappear and then it will come back around 18 months. And then lastly, to help your toddler express themselves, you want to teach them words like feelings, so sad or mad, because this can help to support their emotional growth. All right, parents, listen up. This slide is super duper important. We're going to be going over all the immunizations that we need to keep your toddler protected. All right. During this time when they're young, their immune system is not fully developed and it is not the same as an adult. So it's super important that they receive these vaccines to keep them protected. All right. So around the first birthday is and throughout their toddler years, this is when we're going to be giving them these vaccinations. So first, let's start off with the MMR shot. This is going to protect them against measles, mumps, and rubella. These are three illnesses that spread real easily and they can cause serious fevers and rashes. Okay, so we really want to get that vaccine. Next, the varicella vaccine. You may not be familiar with that, but you're definitely familiar with what it's associated with. This prevents chickenpox. So this used to be very common, but because of the vaccine, it's not as prevalent. So it's super important that we get this so we can maintain that herd immunity. Okay. So next is hepatitis A. This protects your child's liver from germs that can spread through food or water. So we're going to be getting 2 doses of hepatitis A, okay? We're also going to get the Hib and the PCV13 or the pneumococcal vaccine. That would be a lot easier to remember. So the Hib and the pneumococcal vaccine, okay? And we're going to need that to prevent pneumonia and meningitis. Around 15 to 18 months, we're going to get DTaP, which is going to protect us against a couple of diseases, including whooping cough and tetanus. And do not forget, have your child get a flu shot every year. This flu can be a little hard on the lungs, so staying up to date can really help to protect your child and everyone around them. Important to stay healthy. Lastly, I know that this is a big slide and there's a lot that we talked about here. So make sure that you coordinate with your provider. Ask questions. Be involved in your child's care because that makes a big difference. All right. Alrighty, now we're going to be going over nutrition and physical activity. This may be a little touchy for some people. I know that it may be a little struggle in the house sometimes with eating and meal times and food choices with the toddler, but I'm here to give you some tips and some important things that you should know. So, around this age, just know that your toddler's growth slows. So, their appetite might decrease. That's completely normal. So parents try not to get upset if you feel like your toddler's not eating as much. In addition, try to offer your toddler balanced meals. So that includes fruits, vegetables, grains, and protein. We also want to try and give them 2 healthy snacks a day. Okay? Make sure that your toddler is having 16 to 24 ounces of milk per day, and we want to make sure we're limiting that juice. So no more than 4 to 6 ounces, and I say even less than that if you can. Avoid choking hazards. So those small food items like grapes, nuts, small candies, and chunks of fruit, we don't want to cut them up too small, okay? We want to have them bigger than half an inch. This way we can avoid choking. So we want to encourage finger foods because that allows them to feel autonomous and feel independent, but we don't want them to be too small, okay? And then lastly, for physical activity, toddlers love to move. Okay. So going outside, encouraging running, climbing, and dancing is all recommended. We want to try and limit that screen time and instead maybe provide toys like blocks, push pull toys, clay, or building blocks, which can really help with coordination and creativity. All right, parents, this has been a ride. As we wrap up, one of the most important things to remember about toddlers is they are naturally curious. If it can be climbed or opened or swallowed, they can find it and they can get into it. So it's super important to know that they're curious and we need to be wary of these household objects that we have. So we want to make sure that we're keeping these small objects and sharp items out of reach. We want to lock away anything dangerous. So that includes guns. We want to keep knives out of reach. We want to watch those stove pots. And we also always want to double check things like bath water temperature and plastic bags around the house, right? A little prevention goes a long way to keeping your toddler safe. Beyond safety, healthy routines are also going to help your toddler really thrive. So you want to ensure that they're sleeping 11 to 12 hours each day. That includes a nap. It can help them to keep calm, and we also want to keep them on a predictable and structured bedtime routine. Now, parents, I know this might be a little hassle sometimes, but we need to make sure that we are present and we are participating in brushing and flossing. And we also want to find a dentist within a year if possible, because catching any type of problems early and just overall early health promotion goes a long way. So, parents, thank you for learning with me today. And remember, support and consistency make all the difference as your toddler grows into their next amazing stage.